Hi everyone, I am Manoj. Today I am going to start a topic called about SAP Material Management, and I am going to share why SAP is required and version of SAP and what is SAP. Today I am going to share in this topic and introduction to Material Management module. In that I will introduce basic introduction to SAP and procure to pay cycle business scenario. First thing, introduction to SAP. SAP stands for System Application and Product in Data Processing, and it is the name of the company as well as the software also. And SAP is one of the enterprise resource planning. It's a ERP software system which that aims to integrate all the different modules in the company like finance, controlling, production planning, plant maintenance, warehouse management, so that it will be having integrate with all the modules. Enterprise resource planning means in a company how you will manage the resources like money, manpower and material. How you will plan in a company, it's called a enterprise resource planning. And let's go for history. When SAP started, SAP was started in 1972 by five former IBM employees with the vision of creating a standard application software for real-time business process. And SAP has a several release such as SAP R by 1, R by 2 and R by 3 like that. The R stands for real-time data processing and 3 stands for 3 client server architecture, means presentation layer, application layer and database layer. And this are the version of SAP which is released in 1972 to till date. In 1972, SAP R by 1 software was released, and like that in 1979, SAP R by 2 system, and 1992 R by 3. Like that, they have released edition 1, edition 2, edition 3, and later in 2004, they have released ECC, and that ECC 5.0, 6.0, and like that, they have been released. Right now, the upgraded one is SAP S4 HANA Cloud, which is a SAP Intelligent Software Next Generation Cloud ERP solution. So these are the version which is released by the SAP. Why we need to learn SAP means SAP has a overall 60% of market share in worldwide, and it has a 10 million users and 30,000 installation and 1,000 partners which will implement the SAP to the industry. And there are 21 industry specific solution like retail, manufacturing, paramedical industry, oil and gas. So that like that there are 21 industry solution can be mapped in the SAP. And SAP has a customers worldwide, and SAP is the largest software company in the world. And the future of in SAP means with the first one is real-time integration. SAP will be integrated with other modules as I told like MM, SD, FICO, PS, PP, PM, etc. like that. And it has a reporting feature and decision making, so that it will be very useful for auditing purpose or taking the reporting like quarterly, monthly, like it will be very useful. And now I'm gonna share typical business process in SAP, how it will be used in small business process with SAP. SAP software is centralized ERP where data is maintained in central location shared with various department, and the department have access to the information of data from other department also. Okay. Now I'm gonna share some example. Here customer approaches the sales department for a product, and he needs the product on a urgent basis. Since it is centralized process, the sales team has a real time information access to the product availability in the inventory, which is updated in the inventory department, so that it will increase the revenue and the customer satisfaction, so that by having a real time information, so that the sales department can check the inventory and it will be sent the product to the customer in time. If the product is not available, then the sales department will update in centralized system in SAP with their requirement. Then the production planning department updated with this requirement, which is updated by the SD in centralized SAP ERP system. And now production department will start the planning activity. They will check the raw material in inventory, which is updated by the inventory department. And now the raw material is not available in the inventory department, means they will purchase the material from the vendor. Once the raw material are available, they will transfer to the shop floor department. Then the shop floor department will have access to the SAP and they contact the HR department in advance to the labor arrangement, so that labor cost will be decreases. And vendor invoice will be updated vendor invoice will be updated in the SAP system by purchasing department or inventory department, so that finance department will do the payment immediately, so that we have a better customer interaction and improves the customer satisfaction. So these are the benefits which will be we use centralized SAP system. And now let's go without SAP system, how it will be. Here also a customer approaches the sales department for a product on urgent basis. So now sales department doesn't have access the inventory department in real time. So here the problem is no real time inventory information. So in this case, due to this, customer may go to another client. So this will lead loss of revenue and customer dissatisfaction. As a product is not available, sales department will contact the production department to manufacture the product. So now production planning department have to check the raw material availability in the information available in the inventory department. So the data has been maintained in two places, in inventory department and production planning department. Due to this, data maintenance cost will goes up. For example, assume that raw material inventory according to the production planning department system is out of stock, but the raw material availability is available in the inventory department. So according to production planning department, raw material is not available. So they will go and purchase the in raw material from the vendor. This will resulting the material and inventory cost goes up. And physically raw material is available in the inventory department but not updated in the production planning department. So database are out of sync. And after that, PP production planning team purchases the material from the vendor and then transfer to the shop floor to the manufacture the product. And now shop floor team observes that there is a labor shortage, and then they will immediately contact the HR department to hire the labor. Due to this sudden requirement, HR department will hire the labor with higher cost. And then production planning team will purchase the raw material from the vendor, but they fail to update the invoice to the finance team. So that due to this, finance team will not be able to pay to the vendor. So this may lead to the legal action. So there will. So these are the causes if we not maintain a proper ERP software like SAP like that. So this is what difference between SAP and without SAP. And now let's go for SAP MM introduction. What is this SAP MM means? It is the backbone of logistic area and is one of the module in SAP which is meant to cover all the procurement and sourcing in process which is covered in SAP. MM is a part of logistic which helps to manage the end-to-end procurement and logistic business process from the requisition to the payment. In MM, there are like procurement process, inventory management, invoicing, reporting in SAP MM. So these are the four which deals with end-to-end scenario where we have a master data where we need to maintain a material, vendor, purchase info record. In that we will maintain the price, source list, so these are the four master data and transaction data like creating the purchase requisition, purchase order and doing the inward of material in goods received and doing invoice receipt and posting. So these are the transaction data and we have a reports for master data and transaction data. Now let me explain the procure to pay cycle. Procure to pay cycle is the common business scenario which will be done in every industry. The procurement process starts from purchase requisition and ends with payment to the vendor. Hence, this process is a popular with world P2P process. It deals with procuring the materials or service or different contracts associated with procurement. It is a three-way matching rule, PO, GR and IR. Mainly procuring the material in right time, in the right place, from the right vendor with the right cost. Okay. Now let me explain determination of requirement means in a company there will be a department like HR, production department, quality department, like many other department. For let us assume in HR department they want a laptop, so they will raise the request like they want this much quantity of material on this delivery date, and they will send this purchase requisition to the purchasing department. Once the purchasing department receive this purchase requisition, they will check the availability of the vendor for this material. If it is there, then they will create directly PO. If it is not, then they will send the quotation to the different vendor who will supply the laptop. So they will send for 3 to 4 vendors quotation. Once quotation is received to the vendor, they will quote their price and discounts and everything, and it will be sent to the purchasing department team, and purchasing department team will finalize the vendor, uh, best vendor among them, and then they will create a purchase order with that vendor with that price, and this it will be sent to the vendor. After sending to the vendor, we want to do the purchase order monitoring with vendor, we used to remind the vendor. After that, once the vendor is received the purchase order, he will send the goods to the plant. Once the plant it's received the product, the inventory management people will come and check the quality, and then they will do the goods received, and then they will do the invoice verification where we will cross check the PO and GR is that same quantity which we have ordered a same material, so that they will cross check the price material and all, and then it will be sent to the finance team. In finance team they will do the payment. So this is what procure to pay cycle, P2P cycle. And now let's go for SAP modules. There are two types of SAP modules that are technical module and functional module. Okay, in technical module like basis, ABAP will come where we want to need some programming knowledge. In functional module where we need some business process knowledge, as I told, like P2P process, this common process where you to know that knowledge, and we need to map in the SAP system. Like that, they have a finance model. FICO means finance and controlling model. MM material management model deals with procuring the material, and SD sales department, HR module, and PP production planning department. Like this, there are so many models are there. After learning SAP MM model, where we'll be having two types of job, like individual job and one is consultant job, like this. I hope you understand what is SAP and introduction to material management module, like procure to pay cycle.